we need to talk. Congratulations, you're an entrepreneur. You own your own business, and what more freedom and flexibility can come than working for yourself? It's awesome. I know, I do it. There are some challenges though. One of those challenges comes when it's time to buy a home. You're self-employed, which means your income doesn't look like everybody else's. It's not a simple W-2 with all the money that you make from your company. It probably has a W-2 component in it. But the chances are, if you've got a good CPA, you're not paying yourself 100% of your income through your W-2 wages, which means you now have some ownership income. And this can look very different from one company to another. And different is not necessarily good when it comes to an underwriting. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the VA, HUD, or USDA, the governing bodies essentially that write the rules for lending and mortgage, they struggle with how to qualify a self-employed borrower. Not so much that they struggle, just that there's so many different ways that you can earn a living when you own the company that it's difficult to have a universal income calculation that works and makes sense and is easy for you as the business owner to understand. So the first thing I would tell you about buying a house when you're self-employed, the financing aspect at least, is the income that you think you make, that you know you make, may not be your qualifying income when it comes time to do a mortgage. I know that sounds strange, but a lot of times you're gonna have a different income than what you pay your bills with. So that's number one. The second thing I would tell you is the documentation is different. If you were just, let's say, a school teacher and you just got paid a W-2, it would be simple. We get 1 or 2 W-2s from you and 1 or 2 pay stubs, and that's all the documentation we would need to calculate your income. But that's considered stability in the W-2 world. In the self-employment world, it takes 2 years of income to be considered stable. That means you have to have owned your company and reported at least 2 full years tax returns in order to use your self-employed income to qualify. So what documentation do we need when you're self-employed? Well, number one, we're gonna need tax returns, and we're gonna need a bunch of them. We're gonna need your personal tax returns, but also we're gonna need your company returns. Now, if you own your own company and you don't have any partners, your company returns could be nested within your personal returns on what we call your Schedule C. But if your company is a separate entity, or you have partners, or you file a certain way with the IRS, you might have a completely separate return, which translates forward into your Schedule E. Now, we can't just use your personal return, we have to see the company return as well, because your income is only going to continue if your company continues to operate. So, what advice do we give self-employed people when they're just starting the process of thinking about buying a new home? The single most important thing, and if you don't hear anything else I say to you, listen to this. The single most important thing is that you take your tax returns to a licensed loan officer and ask them to calculate your qualifying income. We would love to do that for you at Weber Mortgage. It's not a very quick process compared to just delivering a pay stub. So it's going to take a few days to get an accurate number. So what we really recommend is let's have a conversation about your income. Help us understand where you make your money. Then send us those returns and let us get our underwriters to calculate your qualifying income based on the documentation you provide and the guidelines set by the governing agency that you're going to be borrowing through. I know that sounds complicated, and sometimes it gets very complicated. That's why when you're self-employed, I highly recommend that you talk with a loan officer who has years of experience. An inexperienced loan officer may not know the right questions to ask to understand your qualifying income. Someone with experience that's been doing this a while will ask you a lot of questions that may seem like they don't apply to your situation, but what they're trying to do is understand the full picture of you as a self-employed individual. So As you think about the process of entering this home buying life, or as you think about or hear about a friend or family member that owns their own business and is talking about buying a house, the best first step is simply to contact a mortgage professional and talk to them about where you plan on going. At Weber Mortgage, I am self-employed. I own the company. So I'd be happy to walk you through those things myself.